I'd like to call the meeting to order at 7 p.m., Monday, April 29th. First on the agenda, I would like to rearrange our agenda just a little bit. Number 8, which is the appointment of a lister and a select board position. I'm going to move that up after we review the timesheet and highway, the timesheets of the officers. And we're going to add, with the approval of the rest of the board, the NEA decision, and also that's in the Goodwill Bridge Road, and that'll be enumerated.
Alexa?
Yes.
If you want to add things, one thing we also would like to talk about is the Sage Hill Road, potentially putting the Sage Hill Road Bridge onto bid as well.
Okay, we can add that too.
Good.
Does anybody have any?
We're thinking about the discussion on Water Street.
Yes, that's it. It's the NEA Water Street, right?
That's
the Water Street.
that's
yes.
fine.
Okay, does anybody have any objections to that?
No.
Okay. Position for listers. One lister, Jennifer Duque, resigned. Received a letter from Jennifer and Ralph, who are your current listers, requesting that Barbara Ferguson be replaced. Not be replaced, I'm sorry, Jennifer Duque be replaced by Barbara Ferguson. What is your pleasure?
Is she the only applicant?
She has been the only applicant, and she has submitted her letter of interest.
And Ralph?
And Ralph and Valerie would like to have her on the board.
They support her.
They're in support of having her on the
And
board.
I would move that we appoint her as lister to fill out Jennifer's term.
Do we have a second?
I'll second
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
that. Aye.
Aye.
Okay, Barbara Ferguson has been appointed a new lister. The next position is select board position. We received one application, and that was from Judy Flower. What is your pleasure?
Who's Judy Flower?
She
is.
Have you heard Judy participate in our discussions in the past? I would highly recommend Judy, therefore I would move that we appoint her as a select board.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, Judy, would you please take a seat over there? Thank you.
Good job, is it?
Congratulations. We can move that chair. But.
Wooden chair?
Wooden chair.
Ah, no, okay. I'll suffer tonight.
Another big story right now.
Thank you. First on the agenda is approve and the minutes of the April 8th Select Board meeting.
I often get to read these.
Second. I have one correction on number
Okay.
13.
Okay?
Two things. The Goodeyville Bridge is misspelled, but that's not a critical item.
Okay.
We have not contacted Londonderry at this time, so we're still in the early stages of figuring out what to do. So where it says Londonderry has not responded, we have not contacted.
Okay, so we should remove that.
Yeah, let's take that line out of there.
Okay?
And if you want the spelling for that Goodeyville, it's really Goodaleville. Goodale.
Yeah, I learned that the other day when I rode by it.
Okay.
Oh, really?
It took me a long time to figure that out.
Okay, any other corrections or omissions?
I'll move that we approve the minutes as amended.
Do we have a second?
Second that.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, minutes have been approved. Number 2, review and approve select board pay orders. Number 3, review and approve highway transfer station listers, library, and office timesheets. And next is time for public concerns. And I believe Fran Janik is here on public concerns.
I have a little bit of a concern on Ellis Road. Over the last year, I've had a couple of incidents with Frank Zaga. We've been good neighbors for many years, but he has taken and done a few things to my property on Ellis Road that I considered inappropriate, and I thought the town would find it inappropriate for him to be doing these things. I have photographs, if I can bring them to you and show them.
Sure.
Pass them, start them one here, the other here. Just go right in the middle. You'll see photographs of trees painted orange. He did that immediately after coming down to your meeting to request a parking space on my property. This is trees that he had put up along the road further down on our property in the woods, and that are falling down, killing a tree and causing some damage there. And then more recently, and the reason that I'm really here today is that he changed the flow of water on an area that I had the water going down a ditch to the culverts in front of Alton's on the other side of the road. And he opened up an area that I had closed specifically. And the reason I can see this is you can see there's a, where is it here? This one here, and this one here. I didn't have that rotted tree there last year. I don't know where that came from, but you can see where a machine has basically opened up this space right here. Okay, and that was something that when I originally purchased the property, there was a, what do you call it, a ditch where the farmer will make a ditch. But that goes across to my backup septic area. Now, I can't, I know that the Chapins, if they had done anything, would have asked me. They're the only other people up there, so I have to assume he did that. Mr. Zaga and I are not speaking right now, we'll leave it at that. But I would just ask the town to enforce what I believe they've already done in previous meetings, to ask Mr. Zaga not to work on the road adjacent to my property. I have here a copy of the my survey, and you can see here is where the trees were marked.
Where the lines of your property?
Right here. This is my property.
Oh, this whole property?
This whole thing right here, yeah. And then down here is right where he opened up, right here. Okay. And then further down here is where he's put the logs in over a period of time. So I would, I'm just really afraid he's going to start doing things spiking.
This is your trail right here, or is this a wall?
This is the town trail that he goes down, that he accesses with. That's the given up town trail from the plow turnaround. That's the plow turnaround there. Okay. And this tree is at the plow turnaround.
All right. Is this your line in here, or is this your line here?
This is my line in here.
This one.
On the inside, on that side. Yeah.
Okay. So the trail is his property over here.
That's all. Frank is up the road about a mile.
This is the property town.
Alton and Yankee and Alton. And Mel's the former Mel's place. Frank doesn't live anywhere near here. He lives a mile down the road. Okay. But he has a history of coming down and trying to take trees down on this side. And the last time you guys got at him, he carved out. He had a bulldozer in his hands for a couple of weeks, and he carved out a ramp coming off that farm field that he shouldn't have done. But at this point, I just want to make sure.
It wasn't last year, was it?
It was 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Last year we talked to him about not doing anything.
Well, this is what I'm asking you to reinforce it again, because at this time, because I'm not speaking to Mr. Zaga for a number of reasons. Okay, he lied to me and then he lied about me, and we'll leave it at that. I just have dismissed him from my life. I don't want to hire property. I'm considering getting a no trespass or a criminal trespass if I need it. Basically, Brian Chapin, he lied to me straight up when I talked to Brian Chapin. I had it to Brian on the phone and Frank in front of me. He was lying about painting the trees.
Now, his painting the trees, that's from a couple years ago?
That was from about a year ago.
Okay, so when Lou and I
think that was before we...
He came down to the meeting.
Before we went, they came to the meeting and we went and looked at it. So he has started to
Well, he made this
do
cut.
this again?
He made this cut and changed the flow of the water, and the water flowed down.
And that's this year?
This one here. Water flowed down into the field because of it.
And he did that this year?
He did. Well, he had to, because I didn't see it last year, and it's a machine that did it. And the only machines that are up there are 2 tractors. One's owned by the Chapins and one's owned by him. And those guys would never have done that to me because they know and Frank knows that I prep this side of the road, I had dug that out before, but this side of the road, so that the water will go down this side, not go over my backup septic area.
Okay, well, I think at this point, we'll probably have to take another ride up there
Yeah.
and look at it. And
I'd like to do it at a time when you could show me some of the.
Right, when you're
Yeah, you're
available.
welcome to keep the photographs and if you need them. But,
Okay, you know what, we're gonna give you back these photographs.
okay.
So you can have them when we come up
Yeah,
there.
yeah.
And,
Is it the stream that's changed?
No,
Or
it's
just
a
the
flow of
flow?
water, it's when the water, when the summer melt,
Okay.
it would go across the road, and I was keeping it in the ditch on this side. And I did find larger boulders that should have been in the wall on the other side. And if you look in one of these shots, you can see where he knocked the tree right here with the machine when he did it, on Old Town side. This is my side, that's Old Town side. So he was up there with the machine, and he definitely changed the floor. It couldn't have been anybody else. There's nobody else up
can we
there.
can we have your phone number so we can give you a call? And
Yeah.
the two of us will go up there
Sure,
and we can meet with you so that
that'd be fine.
it's easier if we're right there
Yeah.
to look at.
No, yeah, I just wanted to give you guys something to visualize while you're here today.
Yeah, so if you could
Give
give
you an
me
idea where I'm at.
your phone number.
896-9439. It's all right, you can have them. Hi, guys. Okay, well, there you go. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Fran, and we will call you probably next week.
Okay, thank you very much for hearing me.
Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Okay, next on the agenda, we moved the added Water Street. This will be the National Endowment for Arts. It's a grant that it's going through Marlborough College, and what they want to do is do a study on the green space that we really don't own yet. We don't know if we're ever going to own it, depending on what is going to happen with the 4 buyouts. It may go through, it may not. We don't know at this time. We don't have any more information than we did a month or so ago. These folks would do and correct me if I'm wrong, anybody, a study, give us some designs on what to do with the green space. If we do own it, FEMA says that we have to have it a green space. We don't have to make it a park, make it anything like that, just a green space. Does anybody else have anything to add to that?
I suspect that what we're deciding tonight is not what to do with that space, but
No,
whether
it's
to
whether
accept
we
this
should
grant or not.
accept this grant. We were told last week that there's a deadline on accepting this grant, and they extended it until today. I know you folks are here, so we would like to hear from you. I know we spent a lot of time focusing on the 4 folks that lost their homes, which is very traumatic, but it's also very traumatic for the folks who live there in that area. It's still part of their community. The O'Brien's father lived there as a kid in 2 of the houses. And even though he wasn't living there now, it's still traumatic to see them gone. So they still have the same feelings that the people that own them are going through. They're going through the same thing. So we would like...
Just preface it, let me just, one piece. This project is being produced by Marlborough College, and they're the ones who are getting the grant to do this. And it's an educational experience in that they're using our community as a visual aid to teach how to do this particular kind of planning for these particular kinds of the traumas. Because there are other towns who've got the same kind of situation where they're buying a property. So it's, what they asked us from the beginning was no money and no real time in it, but they did ask if we could provide them space for them to conduct their seminars, and we at time agreed to let them use the town hall. But that's what that is, that's for the education. There's no requirement that we do anything, but that they were going to use us as a real aid in their teaching.
But we want to make sure that when they do these studies, they're expecting us to take one of their studies, their designs, and use it. I mean,
Well,
they're not
yeah.
going to take all this time and energy to go through this, and then just, if we say no, You know, there's got to be attached to it somewhere.
Well, when they presented it to us at the beginning, they said there was no requirement that we do anything. This is strictly for the academics. Having said that, we really don't know what their expectation is, except as expressed to us as an academic exercise.
I mean, a lot of things have gone on over the last 2 years that,
Part of the difficulty, as she's alluding to, is there's been a lot of things over the last 2 years where, as it was presented to us the first time, it didn't exactly develop the way.
it should have.
When is the deadline that you're talking about?
Well, we got an email, what, Monday?
Monday.
Said they needed to know by Tuesday.
Oh,
But luckily, we were out of town.
You got an extension?
We've got an extension of
just
just,
till when?
I have a little more
Time?
clarification to this. They wanted to know if we would accept the grant, as other towns may be able to use it if we don't want it. That was in one of the
Well, they
emails
could-
I got from
Right,
Chris.
that's-
They said they could use another town as their demonstration project.
And how much is the grant for?
We don't know. The grant's going to the school. It's strictly to the school to do this. And so there's no money in our coming either way for us. But yeah, they could go to another town who has a similar circumstance where they have a buyout and use them. They picked us because we had a pretty dramatic one. But that's not the
Well, I
experience.
was making a big story, 4 houses and we're all.
Exactly. It's much more mission.
So Marlborough College is applying for a grant from the federal government.
They have applied and
They
received.
have
grant.
applied, and you have accepted yours, you're sponsoring that, you signed
No,
up.
we're
No,
merely,
have-
we're merely the geography they're going to use as.
If we want them to.
if we want them to, but we don't know. I mean, is there a clause in there, if I remember correctly? I thought if we use their designs, then we have to have a public hearing as to which one to
Right.
take.
If they present us with 3 or 4 options, or 3 or 4 designs, we then as a town would decide if we choose one of theirs, which one we choose, and to implement that, they also have part of their training program, how to help towns apply for grants to get that paid for. So that's part of the educational process for these kinds of
But it's
people.
still going to go through a lot of,
It would still be-
continuing paperwork.
Clearly, you
Never
can get that
end.
done. Yeah, there's more. This grant is just to help teach people how to go for these projects and then how to help the town get funded for them. We clearly aren't going to spend any money on it, because we don't have any money to spend.
One thing from the grant perspective, from the teaching perspective,
Is it time for people to
Yeah, I
talk
will,
or
I will,
to be
I
quiet?
will call you, I just want to let them finish, and then I'll,
Thank you.
from the teaching perspective, we've received a number of these grants at the Women Solid Waste District. And what they are is they're graduate students that are working on these projects. And at the district, we didn't have any, at all thought that we had to accept it. And, it's really an academic exercise for them. They've done this 2 or 3 times for us down there.
So there's no obligation on your part.
That's what Chris Campbell said the last time we were here. He said there wasn't. But there may be an underlying obligation, if they do all that work.
Officially, yeah, we don't have one. If there's some kind of subtle undercurrent of do it our way, please, because we love you, that could happen.
yeah, I think I'd like to start hearing from the folks.
Sure.
Tony, your hand's up first.
Well, I think if we're going to accept this grant, I think we could accept it with the understanding and a written understanding on our part that we are not required to use any of those plans.
That's the way it's written.
That's,
Okay, well then.
But we wanna make
and
sure-
that's not underlined.
we want to make sure. I will, that's
So
what
that
you
they
get out
can
of
use it
it.
as a teaching exercise, which sounds great.
That
But that
sounds-
we're not required to, as a town, to absorb one of their, or to facilitate one of their plans.
Because we don't have any paperwork on that.
Yeah, so there was never a written proposal
No,
to this?
There was between the college and their grantor.
but not with
But
us.
not here.
Not with
Yeah,
us,
so
no.
you're just getting what he is telling us.
Right.
It's kind of-
I think there's a healthy degree of paranoia. I mean, we've been led astray on multiple fronts for the last 2 years, and I can understand. This one, to me, doesn't seem like it, because they're not asking us for any money.
Yeah.
They're not asking to dig anything. They just want to look at pictures, take pictures, and pretend to move. It's a tabletop exercise in essence.
But then it won't make any difference to them if that's a condition of our acceptance.
There's, as I understand it, whether we do it or not is irrelevant to their teaching process. They just want to teach people how to plan.
Okay.
But we don't have anything in writing that we have to accept it.
Correct.
Of them.
No,
Right
that is
now,
correct.
Well, I think we could make it in writing that we won't accept, we have the option not to accept their final draft.
The only question I have is do the neighbors want to anticipate, because they're obviously looking for feedback
Well,
from
that's
the
why
neighbors
they're
and the
here.
town. And I think that would be the biggest underlying question.
That's why they're here, so they can have a chance to let us know their feelings.
See, that's one of the things from the academic perspective that I like, because if those guys are sitting down looking at a tabletop and say, well, there's trees over here, and there's grass over here, and there's concrete over here, if they don't take the sensitivities of the community involved, they've erred in their teaching. So to have this kind of a conversation, this kind of dialogue about, the neighbors might not think this is good, you have to build that into your academic process. To me, back in my academician years, that's a really good piece of this puzzle that might not have been up front. So I think that's a good thing, but I do understand that it's a little concerning.
It is. Norma?
Well, it's very concerning to us of thinking that if you go ahead with this and then you say, oh yes, this is what we're going to do without consulting. I mean, we're the ones living on the street, we're the ones that are being affected by it. Personally, it's affecting us privacy-wise and security-wise if it is opened up to a park, the public. There's a lot of issues there, and I really would rather see it as a, let nature take its place. Come in, and if it's cleared, clear it out, put grass, leave the trees, and leave it as it is, and let nature take its course with,
That is certainly one of the highest supported options that would come at us to do that way. And then this project may show.
it's not what we've been hearing though.
Can I comment?
Go ahead, Lou.
I suspect whether we accept this grant or not, we're going to have meetings, public meetings on what to do with that space. Whether we accept that grant or not, I think there's got to be public participation.
Can I change the dialogue a little bit? We're not accepting a grant. We're accepting the people who've accepted the grants wish to use our situation.
We're kind of getting
In Jamaica.
Yeah. So we're not accepting, the grant's been done between Marlboro and the NEA. So we're just saying, can they use ours as an example? And
We
as
don't
long as-
want them to, another town can take it.
Then they can go to another town instead of us.
I think they should go for another town, and it ought to be left the way it is. Security is a big issue. If you turn that into a park, we're going to have juveniles that roam the streets here in Jamaica during the summer at night, hanging out there, and we wouldn't feel safe leaving our home anymore if they were able to go in there and stay whenever they wanted to.
Part of their process when they explained this goes back months ago, was park was an option, but not the only option. There could be other ways of designing the landscape. There could be ways of, there's other things besides the public park. That's just one of the options that the planners would consider. We certainly would not do anything without going to the town.
I think that's clear. I mean, we're not going to just make a decision in this board. We're going to discuss it with the town.
But I think FEMA tells us that we have to make it a green space. Doesn't say we have to design, we don't have to design it and put park benches and put a gazebo and.
Larry could come up with an idea with or landscape construction, or anybody could do that.
Just a suggestion, we have the field down in East Jamaica, and we're having trouble now, having people take care of that down there. So if something was done like that in Jamaica, you just got another problem. It would be nice, I would think, if we could plant some different flowering trees in that area to make a nice, beautiful spot back there. And it'd be something that the town wouldn't have to maintain. And that's the other thing, is that who's going to take care of something if we do it?
Right, because if you start putting up fences and benches, the town has to take care of it.
Absolutely.
Jenny?
I'm not against the idea of a school coming in and educating themselves on our property. I think that's pretty great, but maybe initially we could ask that they sit down with people who have an interest in this and ask that what they look at is providing. I mean, you don't have to get into something fancy. You can use native species that are going to take care of themselves, but provide more protection for the O'Briens and for other people by planting things that that will give them some privacy.
You know, that's a really good idea. I wonder if they have built into their learning process an opportunity to communicate with immediate neighbors on both sides. I don't know if that's built in or not. Hey, if it wasn't before, it ought to be now.
But
It's not just privacy though.
Yeah.
It's, if there's benches, there's
Well, no,
people
I'm
running
saying-
around at night.
No, but I'm saying that's part of it. I mean, if the
Right.
people who, if you guys are allowed to be part of the conversation, then you tell them what it is that that you're comfortable with. I'm not saying build a park and then build protection. I'm saying
Right.
build protection and whatever else it is that you guys need to feel comfortable there.
Clara?
Yeah, well, I have to agree with Lexa about, it doesn't seem like we have an awful lot to go on. We don't have anything in writing, and you just have somebody saying to you, we want to come. I mean, I think it's great that they want to do a study, but there should be something on paper.
We get some email traffic, but I don't have
Yeah, but
anything to sign.
that's not solid. We can't,
But I mean, there should be something outlining, because I think we sound like we're guessing what they're thinking, and I don't think we know what they're
idea
thinking.
of what they're
So if you don't know
thinking.
what they're thinking, how can you agree to it?
Right, it's still gonna cost in the long run, no matter what the design is, whether they give it to us or we have a landscaping company come in and do it, it's still gonna cost the town money.
True, and part of their grant was to teach the town how to go about getting grants to do whatever it is the town ultimately wants to do. So there is that.
That's right. So
And that's
you don't
more,
know what they want.
but that's more time, more
A lot of
work.
time.
Somebody's gotta write the grant and request it.
Yep.
And we've been doing paperwork for 2 years just to try to get funds back from FEMA for what we've paid out, and we're still very short. It sounded great when it first happened. I mean, not the flood, FEMA, everybody sees the capital letters FEMA, and it's like, oh, good, dollar signs. It's not the way it works. We learned very hard that, and quickly, that money doesn't come pouring in. I mean, you have to jump through hoops to get that money. And we've spent a lot of money on getting the roads fixed, which we have to, and that's part of the town's responsibility. But we still are short on a lot of the funds. And I think making more costs for Water Street, if we just leave it, this is my opinion, to just leave it as it is, see what happens to the buyouts. We have no idea if that program's going to fall through like the last one did. That was costly to the town for that program, and then that fell through. This one, these folks doing it now, it's new to them. They're just trying it out, working on how to get the kinks out of it, and they might just say no all of a sudden, because the money that is going to get to repay the people is coming from HUD and other programs, and those people might not feel they want to give that money to the four homeowners. So it's, money just isn't coming quick. Does anybody else have anything?
Yeah, I have a question about the actual street.
What do you mean the actual street?
Is the street complete? They measured it out when they did the widening and the rocks and everything like that, right?
Yeah, I'm going to turn this
Am
over.
I correct?
I'm going to turn this over to Lou.
Yeah, what we did was we hired Dashi Associates to come in
And they,
resurveyed the street back to
where it
what the
was.
right of way was, and the street was put back in the position of where the.
So the street's done.
Its location is
Correct.
identified.
So is there some reason why it can't be paved now?
We could pave it, but if the terms of the grant tell us we can't pave it, we may have to rip it up.
Wait, in terms of which grant?
Yeah.
The grant that we would get for the bio grant. Because there's some discussion that the bio might have a requirement in there that it can't be asphalt.
Was that all before?
That wasn't for the road, that was just the property.
No, but we had our attorney look at it, and he said there's nothing guaranteed that they couldn't, we could have the road, but we can't be guaranteed that it would be asphalt.
I think you took that wrong.
Well, we haven't heard from the grant people yet, so we don't know what their reaction is, and then we can't fight it until we hear from their reaction. So where it's very preliminary there as far as whether we can asphalt that or not. So the idea behind going to asphalt it now, I think it's a bit premature.
The road should have nothing to do with the layout.
Well, our attorney has said that the federal government does take into consideration municipal right-of-ways on properties that they purchase. That is a given, but he can't guarantee that we can require it to be asphalt. So they will recognize our right-of-way, but he couldn't guarantee that they would recognize our asphalt. Now, if for some reason they came in and told us we wouldn't, or that we couldn't put asphalt down, we would probably fight that. But we can't guarantee we're going to win that fight.
I don't get the right-of-way part on the street.
The town has an implied right-of-way on that street because we've been using that property for more than 15 years. It's not, it may not be in the deeds. It might be in the deeds, but it may not. But even if it's not, we have there's a name for it. I don't remember the name. But we have an implied right-of-way.
But that street's been there for hundreds of years.
That's what the implied right-of-way tells us.
There's a little piece to this, it's a little paragraph that I found, somebody pointed out to me. When we had the right-of-way over someone else's property, we could do the right-of-way kind of streets. When it becomes our property, it is no longer a right-of-way over someone else's property. It's right-of-way, not a right-of-way. The rules for right-of-way don't apply because it's now our property. And this is the glitch that we just stumbled on a couple weeks ago.
So you're talking about the fact that the street went up down the road and part of their property was over here and the other part was over here?
Yeah. And then we had a right-of-way, we could then pave it and do something.
Right.
Once we own it, the right-of-way clause doesn't apply anymore. And now we have to use what they call permeable surfaces. In other words, water's got to be able to go through it.
So how much property are we on the right-of-way?
Say that again?
Whose property are we on the right-of-way?
I haven't looked at the deeds yet, but there are two ways that a road can be laid out. Either the town can obtain that property for a road, or a town can obtain an easement for that road. If the town has an easement, then that property that road still belongs to the property owner, but the town has a right to put a road there, and utilities and other things that go along with a road, like a sidewalk perhaps, or something.
So for the past 2 years, you guys haven't figured that out yet?
Yeah, we have figured out. We have an easement on that property.
Okay.
We know we have control of that property. We don't know if we own it or whether we have an easement.
We have control of it unless we own it. And the paragraph they threw at us 3 weeks ago was, once we own it, then the easement doesn't exist anymore. This was some attorney in another meeting, this is the attorney for one of the other people, in another meeting, brought that to our attention. And we've been trying to get clarity, and our attorney's pretty confident we can make that work. But it's one more glitch.
So I think what Roger's trying to get, the road has been there for hundreds of years.
Sure, but it was somebody else's property. It wasn't town's property.
Hold on a second. So you're telling them that road, Water Street, that the cars went on, didn't belong to the town. We just had a right-of-way, it belonged to the homeowners?
That's probably correct. Without doing title research on that, we wouldn't know for sure. We would have to hire an attorney to come in and do the title research on that.
So all roads like that, say Turkey Mountain Road, Hell Farm Road,
Most roads are like that, yes.
belong to the people,
Correct.
and the town is just using them?
Has an easement for that.
No, I understand, there's only one attorney who gave us that position. Just one attorney.
Records aren't in the town records?
They might be there, but we have to do a title search to find out. We have to hire an attorney to come in and go through those records to find that out. That would mean going back perhaps hundreds of years.
Well, yeah, it's been Water Street there.
You see, remember, a lot of these roads were laid out.
It was Water Street first. I hope, because I own property on both sides of People Street, that I don't own that road.
What would have to happen is there would have to be something in the town records that would state that the town purchased that land from the owners many years ago.
Wouldn't that be his?
They own the road. Well,
No, it wouldn't be in his deed, it would probably
I know, he'd have to do something with the town, and they'd have to give it in writing.
It would have to be, it would have been long before he owned that property.
Yeah, long before Terry.
I think that we ought not to get too wrapped around that axle because, like I said,
Okay.
only one attorney gave us that opinion.
Okay.
So we have.
That wasn't really my point,
Yeah.
but now you have something to work on. My point is, the dust
Right.
is horrible. I can't even open my window.
Keith can answer that.
I'll put down chloride this week.
That does good for like 5 days. We need something that's gonna last longer than that.
Well, part of the solution
When
is,
this wind, we've been getting this wind like crazy, this gust, and it just come flying right into my house.
But there's not much else we can do, Roger, except put the chloride on there. Right?
Pave it, that's why I'm saying, pave it.
We can't do it right now because we're going through that process of whether, that program for the buyouts is going to take place.
I know.
I know, it's very frustrating for us.
I know, you live up there. You live right up there.
I know.
You live way over there.
And I sympathize
Andy and I
with
live right there.
I sympathize with you, but right now we're in that program. The 4 homeowners are in the program with Two Rivers, trying to buy them out. It's very complicated, very complex,
I understand, it must be very frustrating.
and it's very frustrating. Norma?
Getting back to this grant situation, I would hope that you would say no to the grant, because it looks to me like you're just going to get in deeper at the very end of it, because you really don't know. I think you should go to some other town and let's figure something out after we know for sure what is happening with everything.
Can I just add to one of the emails that I saw? That, do you mind if I quote an email that Chris sent us about could we make a decision sooner than we are tonight?
Oh,
And
Chris
of course we
Campbell.
couldn't. And we couldn't because we had to vote here. But he made it clear that if we didn't want it, it would be fair to let other towns have access.
There's another town that they want to work with.
He said towns.
But he said there's one town that they want to work with, another town they want to work with.
So we'd be kind of holding them up.
Well, we have to give them a decision tomorrow. I have to call.
We should hold them up.
Yeah, really, because who knows how long this is gonna take?
I think they may have been implying that.
It's going to take a long time. I don't think it's going to take a couple weeks like that.
Options on what to do.
I mean, it's a great idea.
I think neighbors later on, maybe we could all get together and find out what kind of trees that would grow there, what would, flower, what would work well there.
That wouldn't cost $20.
I think that would certainly be part of the dialogue, but we have to open up the dialogue to the whole town too.
Sure.
I think the town can figure it
There'll
out
be people in
themselves.
West Jamaica that'll say, sure, put a nice park in
Yeah,
there,
they don't
East
care.
Jamaica or, so.
I think our concerns, I'm going to give my 2 cents, our concerns are for the people that live in the area, near that area. I think it's very important that we think of their concerns and take their concerns very seriously. And they wouldn't be here if they weren't concerned about it. And we just let it fly. And I think we owe them, as they've appointed us as a select board, to make the right decision. And we should listen to them. They're very concerned and very worried about it. So I think we should vote on whether we're going to accept that study tonight so we can get back to Chris Campany from WRC tomorrow. So I'd like to have, unless there's further discussion, I'd like to have a motion.
I'll move that we accept the grant.
I would second that.
Okay, we have a motion.
Accept the grant, Lou?
Except
We accept the
study.
study. Okay.
Accept,
Okay,
allow.
we have a
allow.
motion and a second. All in, let's see, all in favor, say yes.
Yes.
So that's 2. All in favor, all not in favor? Aye. Okay,
No.
so 3 not in favor and 2 in favor of it.
There's too many unknowns.
So the motion to accept the grant has been denied.
I think it's a great idea.
thank you very much for coming and voicing your concerns and your opinions, and we always try to help everybody, not just your group, but everybody in town. You know, we're concerned with everybody and try to do the best that we can.
Are you finished talking about Water Street, or
Yeah.
can I bring up a couple of, I have two more things I'd like
You can
to bring up about
Sure.
Water Street.
Yep.
One is I'm concerned about the signs at either end of Water Street that say the road is closed. The sign that's at the beginning of Old Route 8 says the road is closed, but then it says residents only. And it's up on a post like a stop sign, it's very visible. The signs that we have on either end are low, and you almost get into them before you can see them. And particularly the one by Astus down there, if you're coming in front of Astus and trying to turn, you cannot see that sign at all.
Okay, well, they're doing the construction on the
It doesn't matter, I'm
bridge.
just telling you that as soon as you get on the bridge, you cannot see that sign from that direction. And
Okay,
people
yeah.
do come on that, come
We
down.
have resident only signs stolen.
We did. Somebody stole those signs.
Well,
I'm not that it makes,
No,
just that there was one out there.
I think particularly with the construction, it would be, because people are now wanting to avoid the main street and they're skipping up and down. Watch
I've thought about it a few times too, but
Yeah,
I didn't.
well, I've seen it, actually.
Well, you haven't seen me in the last 2 weeks there.
Yeah, no, but I think that's an issue like that.
I wonder if
Appreciate that with Keith's presence.
I wonder if we could ask the flagger who's up there at that corner to not allow anybody to go down that road unless they say that they're a resident.
Well, that's gonna slow them
I don't
up.
think
I
we can
have a
do that.
picture of the sign that is from Route 8.
Technically, any sign that's out there more than a week, technically from the news regs, has to be on a pole after a week.
And that one's on a pole. And I don't see why we can't have that kind of sign at the beginning and end of the street.
Let's, now that Keith's back in, we're talking about residents only sign on the road closed sign on either end of Water Street.
There's one on this side, Depot Street now.
So is a residents only piece of that on?
It says residents only.
No, it's road closed.
Yeah.
The residents only piece.
No, those disappeared. Somebody likes those.
Two of them.
Yeah.
That's why you put them on a pole in the ground.
So my recommendation, this is obviously somebody needs to do it, but I'm bringing it to the board's attention. The second thing I have to, which I've talked to Lex about, is when the roads were being plowed, and it's spoken to Keith too, a great deal of dust, and because the road now is no longer paved, and the plows were coming over very close to the houses, great deals of dirt and dust and rocks are right in on the lawns, and it's I was trying to rake my leaves off my lawn, and I'm ending up with as much dirt and rocks as I am leaves. And I just did what somebody said and raked it into the road, but what else is there to happen there? I swept my own sidewalk. But the road is, it is very dusty, you're right.
Yeah.
And it's just getting dustier.
It's worse this year than any other year
Right, well, that's something that
that I've been here. I've been here 8 years.
the only thing we can do is with the chloride. And really, that's the only thing we can do right now. We, apologize for the dust.
Well, I will say, it's not just dust, and this is a concern of mine. Because we are near the river, it's humid there. So the dust comes up on our house, and the humidity bounds the dust in there, and then we have mold and mildew and all that. And it's a shame, it's worse than it's ever been before. Luckily, I got my house painted very nicely, some good stuff.
I guess we can blame Tropical Storm Irene on all this mess. Yes, Claire?
Well, when you're talking about the use of the road too, the state park is open now, it's early. But you can bet the people that are going to the state park are going to be using that road.
I'm sure
So,
they will.
I think it's all the more reason for.
And they do,
chloride to be
I can
put
see
down.
which ones are not residents, they go down the road, turn around and come back. And fast. That's where all the dust is coming from.
Does it make sense to?
That's true, that there's
Because
much more
nobody's
traffic
slowing
than I
down.
would
The
expect.
residents are not going fast.
Does it make sense to block one side of that road and only allow people to go in and out one side? So
I
therefore
think
it
it
cannot be
makes-
a through street?
Before you do that, I think if you just have a sign that's visible
And enforceable.
and
I
enforceable.
mean,
Well-
how does Route 8 deal with it?
Well, typically, nobody ever wants to use Route 8 because they got Route 100 that's so easily passable. You have a situation where your route is
Looky-loos.
it avoids some of the problems on Route 30. So.
No, that's not, most of them are looky-loos. They want
Yeah.
to see what the damage was.
And if I see them on the road, I saw a guy parked his car on Tracy's property and started putting a bicycle together. And I asked him if he was going to park there, and he said, yeah. I said, well, this road is closed. And he asked me if there was somewhere else to park, and I sent him down to the state park.
Mhm.
So if I see them walking, I tell them the road's closed, so then, they don't drive their bicycles off into the stream.
Maybe we can get some better signs and get them on posts.
I think that would
Get
help.
some posts, like there's a picture that Tony took of, well, you know what it looks like anyway, old Route 8. If we could take care of it that way and try it that way. And we do apologize for the inconvenience, but right now, our hands are tied. Please, go ahead, Susan.
Not off the subject, I'm gonna get off that because the dust is awful. Are we opening bids tonight for the soccer field with John Raymond's? I heard that
Yes.
there's a possibility.
Yes.
Thank you, that's why I'm here.
Will we pursue putting some signs up? Or do we need to? Is that something we need to vote on?
No,
do that.
Keith can-
Yesterday?
I don't think we
Yeah.
need to.
we don't need to vote on it,
vote
no,
on it.
Keith will take care of it. And
Okay.
can you get some chloride on the road?
I mean, ultimately, for me, I would block the road with Jersey barriers on the north end.
That's what I was thinking.
And it's done.
Except where we,
It's gonna go down.
where we,
Turn around if you block
They need to
it.
get.
Yeah, further.
You gotta have a turnaround
Yeah,
spot.
but then again, if there's a fire or something,
I think the signs.
that's gonna be hard.
You blocked it in between the Sugar House and William Street.
I don't know, but if there's a fire, say, like
I mean,
Franny's,
as it is now, they've got a ramp coming out for construction. I don't think anyone should really be in that section anyway.
I agree.
Coming out-
That's why I
coming out-
thought if we told the flagger not to let anybody down.
I don't think we can get the flagger officially get him to enforce our local ordinance.
right,
They're gonna be focused strictly on that railroad problem.
And they also shift their positions too.
Yeah, they move with the
And
equipment.
they're actually, I think, I don't know if you guys living down there, when they pull out of there, they go in one direction and make a loop with their trucks.
Well, that happened for a couple of
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
Tony brought that up. And we
I
stopped.
was wondering that,
We
I
stopped.
kinda noticed it today when I
Not
was.
very
Oh, are
often.
they doing it again, somebody? Yeah.
I haven't seen a lot of extra traffic yet.
No, but last summer it was a lot.
well, I'm sure it was, like,
I mean,
I'm
concerning
sure if
the
we heard
bridge
about
and
somebody
sidewalks.
down the road that had a disaster, you'd go and look. I mean, how many people went up to see Wesley's house today? Tons of people. They shouldn't be there, but they went. So it's just human nature.
How long is that gonna last?
I don't know.
All season, all summer, all fall?
We
You know,
can't,
it's
we're working
not.
as, Roger, we're working as hard
I'm
as we
just
can
saying,
and
it's
as
not
fast
gonna
as we
last
can with funds that we don't have.
The bridge, in answer to that, the bridge is supposed to be drivable by middle of October. But, yeah, according to the engineers, with that meeting, they want the bridge, the new bridge, usable, and the old bridge gone by the middle of October. Is that your understanding? Yeah. And so that will at least answer the question about what's going to happen at that end. The buyout, I was on the phone with them today, and they don't know anything yet. So that's going to be a while. I think, though, just in general, Irene is going to be with us a lot longer than any of us imagined. And the current buyout program is being managed by a company, by the outfit. They've never done it before. They're going to take baby steps to try not to make mistakes. We don't know what it's doing because we're not managing it. They told us it would be done middle of the summer. We hope they knit this summer.
Okay, if no one has any other concerns or questions for us, and I hope we've answered some of your questions and helped you feel a little better. I don't think I did for Roger, but that's okay. He'll get over it. But thank you very much for coming and sharing your concerns with us. Okay. Next is the Goodeville Bridge Road. Paul, you wanted to speak on that?
Certainly. As most of you know, there used to be, before Irene, there was a bridge that connected to Jamaica to Londonderry over Goodeville Road. That bridge was wiped out by Irene. The technical problem with that is that FEMA will reimburse us to put the bridge back the way it was. The Agency of Natural Resources and the state says, no, you must put it back properly so that it doesn't get wiped out again. FEMA says, no, we're only going to put it back the way it was. So there's about $250,000 difference between what FEMA will give us and what we would need to spend to put the bridge in properly. We don't have $250,000. We did get permission because we had to do some backup. We just have to do the paperwork, even though it's kind of a prophylactic system. That we've gotten permission to put the bridge in correctly, and FEMA will allow us to have what they originally offered us was $260,000 something dollars. $250,000 shy of what's needed. Another option was suggested recently about putting in, instead of putting a road bridge, putting a footbridge to connect the communities with bicycles and snowmobiles and four-wheelers, but a connection, but not a street. We believe we can afford to do that. We're in the process of exploring that. If we don't put something there, we're losing the money completely. So we have to do either an improved project, which means we pay for the difference, or we put in a footbridge, or state won't let us put it in bad, put it in the old way.
Is it too late to do an alternate project?
That's the third choice of the alternate project. And the glitch with it, let me tell you, an alternate project is whereby we take money from one project and say, well, we're not going to do that, but we have another project in the community that we could spend the money on. For example, maybe we wanted to build a new town garage someplace. That's legal. But before you can apply for an alternate project, you must have the other project in mind. We can't just say, well, give us $260,000, we'll think of something later. We don't have another project in mind. If someone has one, share it with us, because we've been racking our brains trying to think of what else we could do with that money. And the only thing we've been able to come up with is a pedestrian bridge where the other bridge once was. We believe we can afford that. We believe that will come in under the $250,000 that FEMA will give us to put the bridge in correctly.
What do the neighbors say about that? I mean, we're concerned with this down here, so what are those neighbors are saying about a footbridge when they've been used to having that?
We were sort of hoping some of those neighbors would be here tonight, so we're going to have to send out flyers.
It's funny, Keith and I were just down there today talking about something else. And the anecdotal evidence that we have is that the residents prefer not to have a bridge there because it takes less traffic along their road. However, I'm not going to guarantee that that's what they would all think. I would suspect that what we ought to probably do is either have a meeting to discuss it with them, or at least go house to house and discuss it with them.
One of the glitches to this, and it's like every time we pick up a phone, there's another glitch. I don't remember who brought this up, Lex or somebody else brought this to my attention, that if we don't put a road bridge over that bridge, if Route 100 goes out again, like you do with Irene, we don't get to Londonderry for a few weeks. Not that they'd miss us, but the idea though is that that becomes an alternate route to Route 100. Now, just to further clarify things, clarify spelled muddy, 3 weeks ago, Townsend won an appeal. It was in the papers, where they were first told that they weren't going to be allowed to build it properly either. They appealed it a number of times and they won. Lex and I had a telephone conference with all the players upstream about how this works. and if that's going to affect this bridge, because that was our argument, that it needs to be done correctly. We were told in the telephone conference they didn't think so, but they weren't sure. I had a conference with a gentleman today who was with that conference, and I explained to him that without this road, we lose the backup to Route 100 and the issues of fire, rescue, and those other guys. It is unclear that FEMA will allow that logic to apply in this case. These are moving targets. Every time I pick up the phone, things change. But as of today, I'm putting together a letter trying to explain, and I'm meeting with the Agency of Natural Resources, Todd Manise, again, gentleman, tomorrow. And we're trying to come up with a way to say it in a fashion that FEMA will understand the immediacy of putting the road back as a substitute for Route 100, because it went out during Irene. Sadly, so did the bridge. But if we build the bridge correctly, theoretically, we would have a backup to Route 100 going back and forth. So I have to put that letter together. So Todd Manise and I are going to communicate tomorrow so we can come up with a plot to make that work. Check in next week. But that's part of the process. And this speaks to the overall thing of why it is we're 2 years into this thing, we still got a dust bowl on Water Street. Because every time we think we're moving in a direction, there's a change. And every time there's a change, we have to readapt to whatever the winds are blowing that day. And it's the way it is. And that drives me nuts, but it's got to be done. So that's the Goodyear Bridge thing. And so we're deciding whether we want to do a footbridge. Sounds like a good idea if you're a bicyclist, but perhaps it's not a good idea for other reasons. Like, for example, if you're driving an ambulance. And if you live there, if you're used to going a shortcut to Londonderry, the extra 2 miles isn't going to bother you much because now you're at the end of a road that's private. The other thing is, Londonderry starts at the end of that bridge. So we really ought to, as good neighbors, coordinate with the Londonderry citizens, because they too are affected by this. There's no real easy answer here.
Well, one of my biggest concerns was fire issues.
Exactly.
That you brought up.
Yeah.
If there is a fire on that road, say in the middle, we've got Jamaica coming in from this end, we have Londonderry coming in from the other end, in South Londonderry, whatever. If we don't have that connection, then Londonderry, South Londonderry, they have to come all the way. And then there's a bottleneck, like last night's fire. Your trucks are lined up, and it's better to have more space.
Yep.
For
Plus, it
them.
also gives you another exit out. I always felt the Goodyville area, as being the fire chief, is that it's an island in itself. You go around the bend, there's that narrow section, and that's right on the corner of the river, and obviously that washed out during Irene. And really, those residents in what I call out there in their little island, were kind of stuck out there. I mean, that was a big issue. And if they won't let you do the bridge, maybe you could do an alternate project to improve the access into there.
That's a really good idea. Let me tell you, one of the glitches we have to do it. You cannot do an alternate project in a floodplain.
So you couldn't use the money to like, do People Street Bridge over or something?
No, it's in a floodplain. See, that's the other thing. Alternate projects have different rules than approved projects have different rules than the other stuff. So in the process of trying to explore exactly that, for the St. Jill Bridge, for example, and other bridges, where we're going to try to relocate it in a better place, a cheaper place to build. If it's in a floodplain, you can't replace a bridge. You can't use the money for a bridge to build another bridge if it's in the floodplain. And generally, we don't build bridges if there's no flood. Or so it seems. But he's exactly right. So there is that. The catch is, the difference, and we have permission. I did the paperwork. We got permission to build it ourselves. I should point out, if we take a project and say we want to do it this way instead of the way they say, if we don't get their permission, we jeopardize getting any money at all. So in theory, if we do it our own way, they can say we're not giving you any money. So we have to get permission to do it we have to get permission to pay to do it our own way so that they don't cut off all of our funding. We got that permission. It's just they don't care where we get $250,000 to do it. So that's the dilemma we're kind of facing with that. Anybody want my job?
In order to do it correctly, FEMA will give us $250. which they think would cost that much. A&R, Agency of Natural Resources, said we have to do it another way. We have to do it according to them, or we can't do it. So that's another $250,000. So the $250 would come out of our taxpayers' money, your taxes.
For that bridge.
For that bridge.
That saves 2 miles on a normal, everyday existence.
Only if you go in Londonderry.
When you blow, that's right.
If you go in Manchester, you go in Jamaica.
But the minute you have a fire, or the minute you have an emergency, that $250,000 doesn't sound so expensive anymore. But we don't have them on a regular basis, thank God.
Well, hopefully we'll get that letter out tomorrow.
Well, we're going to have Todd. Todd and I are working on this thing tomorrow. We should know something.
And then what we can do is we will notify all the folks who live on Goodeville Road.
As soon as we know what we're doing.
Londonderry Select Board, let them know, let them contact their people, and then we can have a meeting with them to see, let them voice their opinion, what they feel.
Maybe they want to cough up another 125, or maybe we could split the difference. We don't have that either, by the way.
Every time we talked about going to talk to the people in Londonderry, something has come up where we may not have the right information for them, so.
Right, so we're trying to get all the information before we go and say, okay, this is what's going to happen. So
we should get some good, tomorrow when I sit down, we're taking a trip. Todd, you'll see us out. Todd and I and Terry and the woman from Mary Enders from the state, we're all going to go out and look at these things.
Taking a trip?
We're going to take a trip. We're going on a road trip. Because it's so, this poor Todd, many times I talked to you about this, he says, I got 55 towns. Every town's got the same exact problem. It's all over the place. And Mary is the one who's actually going to help us get our money, and she's never seen it either. So we're trying to walk them through it. Maybe tomorrow night we'll know something.
Okay, so we'll get back to everybody on Goodeville Bridge Road.
You all are invited to our next meeting. We'll bring more chairs. Maybe we'll know something.
The next bridge is Safe Hill Road Bridge.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, who wants to go with that one?
I would, this will be quick, because there are no other options. We've explored everything. I would make a motion that the select board authorize the town treasurer to produce and publish an RFP for the work needed to be done to repair or replace the Sage Hill Road Bridge as designed and obligated by FEMA.
As a design builder.
As a design build, so that each company will give us their design and their bill.
Do we have a second?
I would second that.
Okay, any further discussion?
If I could just for about 2 seconds give you an example of what this is all about. There's a Sage Hill Road Bridge right now, because there's going to be a problem for the town. That bridge got damaged seriously by trees sliding down. We put up a temporary bridge. In order to repair this bridge, they're going to have to build another bridge parallel to it so that the homeowner has access while they're building the other bridge. And it has been estimated that West Jamaica Road will be closed for 6 to 8 weeks while they do this from that north, west, or whatever direction it goes. So what we have done, we have all done for the last, I don't know, 2 years, try to come up with a way to do that differently with another location. We just had a total blank idea. We have come up with nothing that is doable. And so we were saying, let's go with FEMA's idea, and because we don't have any choice.
Okay, so we had a motion, we had a second.
You did?
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion passed. Okay, that takes care of the bridges. Dale, you're here.
Yes.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready for you.
All right. Well, I'm here for the PW that we have for the fire department for the firehouse, the dry hydrant replacement. Due to the bridge project and negotiation, all we need to do with the PW is buy the hardware, in which this town has received the funds from that for FEMA. And I've actually retained this. We have one single source quote for a certain part of that function, which ends up, it's the screen part, it goes in the river. That's from Johnson screen. I recommend you to purchase, we have to purchase, well, to get it, we have to do that. It's $4,050 plus shipping. I got 3 quotes for the remaining hardware. One's from EJP, Everett and Prescott, FW Web, and WW Building Supply. The 2 lowest bids were FW Web and WW Building Supply, and we have an account with Dubs, and they're only $200 more, but they're with Web, they didn't include shipping, and Dubs is free shipping, so there was only a $200 difference. So my recommendation to go with Dubs for $2,090.06.
Plus the 4,000.
Plus the 4,000, the 4,050, I think it was, plus, and it's gonna, that one they couldn't calculate the shipping until they got it all packaged up, created out here from.
And that PW's already been written and money's been approved for it?
Yep.
We've gotten the money already.
They've got the money already, okay. So the total amount for that would be?
I think it's 6,100 and something. Plus the shipping from the Wisconsin.
So without shipping, it's $6,140 plus shipping?
I don't believe it would be more than $500 to ship it out here. It's a big piece. So you have to be tracked here. The PW is the work orders.
Project
PW
worksheet
is
is
project
what it's
worksheet.
Paperwork.
It's the paperwork.
Well, the payment portion of it all.
It's the paperwork. We entertain a motion that we,
Now the $4,000 is a sole source.
That's a sole source. It's a screen designed by them. And it's this is the company that gave us the screen that's there. And FEMA required us to use the same design.
Okay, and we have documentation that we don't have any other source for that?
Yes. Oh, no, I don't, because they're the only ones I know that make it. I asked the other ones and they said we'd have to get it from them.
Is that good enough for FEMA?
Yeah, all you have to do is write a statement saying we couldn't get
Okay.
200.
We have to have 3 bids, that's what this is all about. If we can't get 3, we have to be able to document that we couldn't get.
okay, so we need
So that's why the other parts we can get from 3 different suppliers. That's why we got the 3 bids. 2 of them are actually the suppliers for the others.
I would move that we go with Dale's recommendation using the sole source for the screen and WW Building Supply for the
hardware.
hardware.
That was hardware, right, Dale?
Yes, that's the remaining hardware.
Okay.
Yes. That's all the project worksheet covered was just the hardware for that portion.
Do you have a second? Okay, you have a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Okay, thank you, Dale. Let's see. All right, next on the agenda is number 5. Discuss the pole on the town green, the light. It's a telephone pole that has a light.
Okay, I'll
Go ahead, Lou.
tackle that if you like.
All right, go ahead.
Last meeting, if you recall, I presented you with an idea. I didn't want to vote on it then because I wanted to give you an opportunity to think about it. If you drive down and you look at the island, you see a telephone pole that the church uses to light the church. So my idea was that since the sidewalk is already going to be ripped out next to the church in order to put the handicapped access ramp in there, that would be an ideal time to perhaps take that wiring and put it underground rather than run it over to that pole. I got an estimate from Basin Brothers what it would cost, and their cost of that would be about $2,300, and I got an estimate from Chris Clark what the electrical part of that would be about between $300 and $500. He probably thought it would be closer to $300 if we could use the old lights that were there. I brought that idea to the church because I didn't want to bring it up to the board without first running it by the church, because if they weren't interested in it, then certainly I wouldn't be interested in it. But they seemed to think it was a good idea. They were also thinking of taking Chris Clark's idea and taking those lights and put them on, instead of actually putting them on a pole on the other side, to put them on their sign, the sign that tells you what the hours are for worship. And that might actually give them better lighting. And therefore, what we would use that underground for would be to bring power to that side for things like Jamaica Old Home Day, we're using the island, or for the Christmas tree we put out over there and the like. So the idea is to remove that pole and instead go underground from the church. It should be noted that the church provides that electricity to the town at no charge. It's sort of a service that they provide to us.
Originally, the pole that the lights were on was nowhere near as high as it is now. The reason that that pole was in there was for the television cable and also for the banner that we used to put across the street.
Yeah, the banner is technically illegal.
Well, yeah, but that's illegal in every town, and every town does it, so.
I know, that's why it's technically. But I don't think it's been used for the last couple of years,
No,
even though we had the...
No, I can understand, and I was talking with Bob, and he was talking about the lights maybe coming off from our sign, that it might light up the church better. But one of the concerns was that there was no way to get power out to the little common there, you know, for your Christmas tree, and also for the band, or, you know, if you had music or something.
You know, we would still put the power underneath your road.
Still put the power up to the...
Right. And if the church later on decided that they, you know, put the lights over there, they didn't work, they could put them back to the island.
Okay, did we need a motion on that, or was that just part of the...
I guess I would move that we do that.
And the cost at this point, you're talking about $2,500?
$2,700.
$2,700.
Right.
Okay, do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a second. Any further discussion?
Do we have a budget item that will cover that? That's what I was going to ask.
I mean, from the general ledger budget?
I'm not sure.
Terry,
Beautification.
if you go under...
Yeah. But we have money to do this. I mean, we don't have a lot of things, but we do have a budget item that can come out.
Well, tentative meeting doesn't have to come out of a budget. It could come out of miscellaneous as well. Because it really is just a budget. It's not, we don't have to take things out of...
I just want to make sure we've got $2,700 to spend on lighting Christmas trees.
Hey, everybody like that Christmas tree, stop it.
Oh, no, I like that Christmas tree. They're going to love it for $2,700. I'm going to be there with my
I'll
own
put presents under it next year.
There, I second that.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. All right, Stuart, are you here for public concerns? I kind of missed you.
I'm concerned, but I have no comment.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So now we don't miss you anymore.
Okay. Number 6 is discussion regarding the classification of Class 3 roads that are functionally Class 4 roads. Roads under discussion are J31, Sage Hill Road, J47, Metcalf Road, J62, Millbrook Road, J66, Day Road. We will also discuss the reclassification of Hemlock Hill Road. Okay, Lou, I'm going to pass that over to you.
Okay. I got a call from a local realtor who had a customer, a client, I guess is a better word, a client that is interested in buying some property up off of Day Road. And Day Road, turns out, has a kind of unique classification in the state. I will read it to you. It says, the following roads, there are 4 of them, are Class 3 town highways, but are functionally Class 4. So I said, oh, I have no idea how to interpret that. So I called the Wyndham Regional Commission, and they're the people that do our maps for us. And Matt did a little bit of research and found out that back in the 90s, the state did a reclassification of all the roads in all the towns to determine what kind of funding they were going to offer as part of their Class 2 and 3 road program, and determined that those roads are classified in the town as Class 3 roads. However, we don't use them. Basically, they're kind of off in the woods someplace. So that's why they put this little caveat in there, and the intention is that towns would then go and decide which ones they really were. Well, nobody's done any of that in the last 20 years, so until this particular resident from Day Road, or potential buyer of property on Day Road, asked us, is the town responsible for upgrading that to be a passable road for them? So, I thought the best way to deal with that is to reclassify that either as a 3 or a road, or 4, depending upon the results of a hearing. We would have to have a hearing about that, and then get the evidence that we can from the different residents, and then decide what to do. Keith and I went and looked at these roads today just to get a feel. And most of them are probably, I don't think any of them we would probably want to upgrade to a Class 3 road. I think most of them we'd want to keep as a Class 4 road. But again, that's something that we would have to get evidence from the people who are using them. So what I would like to do tonight is to set a date for a hearing. So the statute calls for a 30-day notice for a hearing. So my recommendation would be to pick a night, either the second or fourth Monday in June before our regular select board meeting. June 10th or June 24th. Have the hearing perhaps at 6 o'clock.
I think we should go for the 24th.
24th of June. Does that work for everybody?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what we would do is we would have a site visit. Anybody who is interested, we would probably set times that we would be at each site, so any residents for those particular sites would know what time we would be there for the visit, and then we have the public hearing at 6 o'clock.
Sounds good.
Okay, so I would move that we have a public hearing for those roads on June 24th.
Do we have a second? Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
The motion carried. Next on the agenda is to open up the bid for the cleanup on the Tewksbury bids that we have for the Tewksbury properties. You can open them and then Luke can read them.
Okay.
Or if you open them, I'll read them.
While you're getting ready to open them, perhaps we could let the public know what we're doing here. As part of the FEMA recovery, we hired a crusher to come in and crush some gravel up on both on Pikes Falls Road, and then we brought the crusher down to the Tewksbury property, which is owned by, I think, John Raymond. John Raymond graciously allowed us to use it with the idea that we would put it back to its original condition when it was done. We have a pile of gravel that's still left down there that we need to dispose of first. So these bids call for removing that pile of gravel at a purchase price, and then the cost of putting that property back to its original condition.
Okay.
First bid is from?
First bid's from Larry Brown Excavating. And
No, we can just, well, you can read that, what he's going to do.
cleanup of crusher site on Depot Street. Number 1, purchase from the town of Jamaica the remaining material at the site for $4,000. Number 2, cost to the town of Jamaica to spread existing loam level to prior condition reseed, mulch, etc. Total cost $2,000. Net to the town, $2,000. That doesn't come with that because it's only...
It's a copy, no, that's
Okay.
fine. Then you can do the second one.
Next one's Hammond Construction. Materials purchase and remove remaining gravel at crusher site, $4,500.
Is that,
That's just one, quantity one.
is that to buy the,
To buy, to purchase the,
Purchase and remove remaining gravel at crusher site,
Okay, and how much again?
$4,500 even.
Okay.
And then the next is excavating, grade and seed field to pre-flood condition, quantity one, $2,500. Refund to the town, $2,000. Total, $0.
That's, yeah. Okay. So, gotcha. Okay.
Raymond Smith Excavating, estimate for Depot Street cleanup. Number one, price for town-owned gravel, $4,500. Number two, price for bringing site back to original condition, $700. Even. 700.
And then that is,
That's what it looks like to me, yeah. Those are the only bids we have?
This was like an under, 10,000.
Was there any discussion about making sure it can be done by a certain time?
it's, there's a certain date that you
Yeah,
have to get it done by.
certain date.
Oh, please, yes, when?
What happened?
Yesterday.
July 1st.
June 1st?
I'm only kidding you, Steve.
Please, after what I've gone through with the last couple of days of this.
I'll have to look if I can go look.
Yes, please.
When is the wedding?
The wedding is the 29th of June.
June. Let's do it. Yes, do it.
I'm just curious why we're selling this gravel and not using it on roads.
Keith?
We used it a lot last year, and we bought a lot of tires. It's just really sharp.
Yeah.
And,
Oh, your ears already.
yeah. And there's not a lot of fines with it, so it didn't pack in. It was always on top.
Sandy.
Yeah. No, it's just basically crushed rock. There's no fines with it. So unless we were doing some construction using it as a sub-base, it's useless to us for a road top.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Actually, you have a handle on that because that's right in front of your house. You know all about that.
Yeah, there was also some additional metal that didn't get extracted from that.
now, do we
See any bid?
award this bid the same meeting we awarded the other ones?
Either that or now. We can do it tonight. I don't think there's any.
This is a lot,
This one
it's a
tonight is-
little simpler
It's a lot
project.
simpler. We should do it tonight because we want to get it
You
going.
want us to get it out of it.
Yes.
I don't want to give Susie a heart attack.
Mr. Raymond does, so.
Oh, yeah?
Yes, we have a certain
How's
date.
there such a big discrepancy there?
It's very little. We just caught charging less, it appears,
Less, that's
to
a
receive.
lot less.
To put that in.
Didn't say it would exceed it.
Oh.
Is that rain?
Was that part of the, what was the description of that?
Then you put it back to the way it looked originally, I think.
The pre-crushing.
I think it was June 1st we had it done by.
That's what I'm guessing.
I don't see any time for you.
I think it was.
Yeah.
For some reason, I think it was June 1st.
I did too.
It would seem you want to have it done by June 1st, so that the seed.
Right, so that they have grass in the ground, right. And I think that's what's in the contract.
It said loam and seed and return.
No, we first like, I don't know what the weather's gonna be like too.
Loam and seed.
I got the impression.
And what was the date
So much
to
of
be
that.
brought back?
There was no date. So, I mean,
Freaked out.
I'll just do a lot of begging, believe me.
no, I mean, I don't think any one of those contractors is gonna have a problem if you give them a date.
Okay.
I really don't.
Well, we have one contractor here, Larry. Would June 1st to have it done be a problem for you?
I knew that there was a date, so yes, I would have it done by then.
Okay, we'll have to ask the other two contractors.
You did bring up a question about whether the bid contract required the seeding, reseeding.
It said so in loam and seed.
Yeah.
But they didn't put that on their bid,
Do you,
or they did?
Grade and seed field,
No, the
Grade
seven.
site.
back to conditions.
To original condition.
The original. And what's that?
Spread existing loam level and prior condition, reseed, mulch, etc.
Yeah, so actually all three
They all say that?
Roger?
They all say?
Roger? If you want to be.
Different language,
Huh?
If you want to be acknowledged, you have to raise
you
your
want
hand.
these back to look at? We're in school.
This
So
phone call.
we're worried about the time. Who's gonna do it the quickest? Who's gonna have an impact on who we
Well, we
award?
want to make sure that whoever gets the lowest bid can do it in that time, in the correct time frame. We don't necessarily have to assign it to the lowest bid.
Right.
Do we need
So
to
do we want
explain
to-
further? Can we make it?
We probably need to make sure that,
I would make a motion that this, we table this until we can explore it further.
can we,
And then we can have a special meeting.
We can have a special meeting, or, yeah, we have to have a special
We have to have a special
meeting.
meeting.
We'll call a special meeting to award this.
is Thursday too late, or should we try to do something tomorrow?
We could do Thursday, would be all right.
We've already meeting.
Well, we'll, Tom, no, I'm not going to say I promise.
Can I ask why we have to have a special meeting for that?
Because
You have to vote on it.
we have to vote on it, and we either vote on it tonight, or we have to have a special meeting to vote on it.
Right,
Which we need 24 hours notice.
right,
And we've already got the notice for the 29th.
Okay.
right. That's too late, that's too,
I
I'd like to get it
29th, I
done.
mean, what did I just say?
20.
Today's the 20th.
Third.
We could do it Thursday.
Third. Yes.
Yes, Tom.
Larry said that he knew there was a date. How did you know there was a date?
Well,
Well,
because everybody knows how it's gonna go on.
as soon as we talked about last fall, that it needed to get done for this wedding. So I knew that there was a,
Well, the owner,
Sorry,
but
Galen.
he told us when it needed to be done.
Yes,
Yeah,
Dan.
we do have an
Can I
agreement.
make a suggestion?
Yes.
If your inclination is to award the bid to the lowest bidder, make that motion subject to the lowest bidder being able to get it done by the date you want.
Yeah.
And if not, then it would go to Larry or, you know,
Yeah,
then you don't have to have a special meeting.
perfect, okay.
Big deal this year.
Yeah.
What a good.
That's why I was asking.
Okay, why don't we have that motion?
All right, I'll make that motion. I'll move that we award a bid to Ralph, to Raymond Smith Excavating, with the provision that he can have it done by, what was the date that Raymond had?
I think it's June 1st,
June 1st?
but
Or it'll be done by June 1st?
we'll double check the contract tomorrow.
It'll be done by June 1st, and that it will be done to the specs that we're looking for, since the fact that he is rather lower than the rest of them. We want to make sure that he's not going to shortchange us on that particular thing.
I don't think he will.
I don't know.
Yeah.
So I'll make it subject to those two conditions.
Should we have a second?
I'll second the motion that we award it and contingent on his ability to promise a fixed date by the 1st of June.
Okay. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Alexa?
Yes.
Can I ask
Sure.
something here? Julie just came, and Julie came with the intent of
Oh,
talking
we
about
see you
something
again.
we've already talked about, so I don't know if you want to give her the opportunity of,
Call it darkness.
Julie, what we did is we set a hearing date for June 24th.
Okay.
There. We don't have a time yet.
Hearing was at
Let's
6.
do it.
6
Go
o'clock,
back to that
yeah.
discussion, can you tell me what the other 3 roads were other than Day Road?
Sure. One of them is Metcalf Road. One of them is Mill Pond Road. Millbrook Road. And Day Road we already mentioned.
Oh, and Sage.
And Sage Hill Road. And Julie, what we're going to do is we're going to let you know what the time is for every one of those site visits. There'll be a site visit
Oh, good.
for
Okay,
each one of
great.
those. And we'll let you know the time for each one of those site visits.
That would be good.
Could I also be CC'd on that?
Sure.
Fire department is crucial.
Okay, do you have any other questions or anything on that?
No, it's being touched about that, that's cool.
Okay. Okay, next, number 9, update on the sidewalk project construction.
Okay.
Lou?
As you all know, we've started the sidewalk project. Basin Brothers is the contractor. The sidewalk project has pretty much begun up at the intersection of Pikes Falls Road, and they've already started to lay the granite curving. The project, I think they've already removed all the concrete along the whole route, with the exception of a couple of driveways that they've left until we actually get to there. They've also started doing the sub-base, the sub-aggregate, which is 12 inches. I know from Pikes Falls Road to the town hall has been done completely as far as the subgrade. And they started working now from the cemetery. They're working up from the cemetery up to the center of town, doing the same thing. As far as the trees, we had special provisions in there that the 4 trees along Main Street in front of the Jonathan Bischoff's and Alan Bischoff's house, and the house next door, which is owned by John Wentworth, we had special provisions made in there to have an arborist on site when those trees were to be looked at, because we knew that we would be removing some of the submaterial. The roots would become exposed, and we'd want to look at all that. The arborist, we did that last Wednesday and Thursday. The arborist was in town. And I have to say, I give Basin Brothers a lot of credit. The arborist made them dig by hand around the roots. They scratched the surface with the excavator, but then the arborist made them dig by hand. They weren't that happy about it. It took them a whole day to dig around 2 trees. The next day, they went to a different technique. They took a air compressor hose, and they moved a lot of the material with the air compressor hose before the digging. Then they finished the digging by hand. They exposed the roots, and some of the roots were higher than we had hoped. We weren't sure how to deal with it, so I called up to the state, and the woman in charge up there is part of the historic preservation, the V-Trans historic preservation. Her goal is to look at the historic nature of the town and make sure that we stick to certain guidelines. She came down on Friday, had a good meeting with them. The contractor was there, our resident engineer was there, and she was there, and all came to a sort of common understanding of the best way to deal with it, which is to In some cases, the roots were going to be up into the height of the concrete. What we would do there is we would lay a layer of filter fabric on top of the roots, so that when the concrete was poured, it wouldn't touch the roots, because wouldn't be good for the roots. So then the concrete would be poured, but there would be an extra layer of rebar. Normally in the whole run of the concrete, there's some wire mesh that gets put in there to give the concrete strength. During that 65-foot run, there would be an extra layer of rebar in there, so that if the concrete wasn't quite to the 5 inches thick, it may go to 3 inches thick at some points, it may go to 4 inches thick at some points. That rebar would give it some extra strength, and also would prevent it from hopefully cracking, except for the joints where we would try to encourage it to crack. So the feeling amongst everybody was that we could preserve those trees, as there's no guarantee that they're going to live, but we can preserve those trees as best as we can by using that technique. So she was very happy with that. You want me to finish, or you want me to just ask questions after?
Sure.
Then one of the things that I wanted to mention, I wonder if it was something that Tony brought up, is there was some concern about the access in front of the church, I was with the contractor when Tony came by and asked us to try to do a little bit better job of cleaning in front of the church. And the contractor promised that it would be done. When I went by on Sunday morning, it was not done. I was extremely angry. I brought it up to the contractor on Monday morning, and also with our resident engineer, and he promised that he would do it in the future. I told him if he didn't, then he wasn't going to be allowed to use that as a staging area. So what will happen this weekend, I can guarantee that it will happen, because we have a meeting Friday morning with the owner of the company, and it will be brought up to him on Friday. Pardon me?
No, I
Oh, okay. And what will happen is...
I noticed it too, that there was clothing on the sidewalk and a bunch of other stuff.
I know, and that just was unacceptable.
Oh.
So I brought that up to the contractor, and they will remedy that. I guess, anybody have any questions?
Any questions?
No, I would just like to say that I asked the contractors to move their equipment at the Masonic Hall. They were very obliging down there, and I'm very pleased, and they left us very neat there. And
yeah, I asked them told them that Friday night bingo has got to be cleaned up for that.
Well, I spoke to them a couple of times, and finally they did, and we're very satisfied with it.
Are you happy with that pile of dirt is being left?
That's fine there.
Okay, because...
and I promised him that nobody in the cemetery would say anything.
Very good.
And you have a question?
Yeah, just a comment. The tree warden was not consulted.
Yes,
And he's rather
good
upset.
point. Ben did call me. I apologize to him profusely. I never even thought that the tree warden should be brought into the discussion, so I did let him know. Ben was also saying that he might be interested in coming here to talk about that tonight, but he had to pick up CJ at the airport and didn't know if when he would be back. What Ben was concerned about was replanting of some trees. Now there were two trees taken down toward the cemetery, and the intent is to put two. That was one of the things that the state required. When I talked with Caitlin, what's her name, she said that we have to put 2 trees to replace those 2 trees.
Yeah, that's what he expressed to me, that
Right.
you need to replace what's taken out.
Right. So that's part of what the state requires, that when you take a tree out on a historic village, you have to replace it with another tree. Speaking of replacing with trees, there was one other tree that was taken out that was part of the project plans in front of what we call the Daggett House. That will be replaced with a tree as well.
And you replace the one by the cemetery too?
Correct.
Yeah.
Both,
Wonderful.
both that tree and the one in front of Hardy's are going to be pushed a little bit farther back to avoid conflict with the sidewalk. And I talked to Harvey, and Harvey's willing to put one in there as well.
Joe, you have a question?
Yes. I came because there's just an intersection of the sidewalk issue or matter with what Lou and I have discussed, which is the town hall water problem. I've just come to the point that, as you know, the town hall water typically gives out toward the end of the summer. We got an estimate for what it would cost to drill. I believe it came to like $3,500 to go down behind the town hall. That would be prohibitively expensive. And Lou had a really great idea of tapping into the bank building water, which is relatively rarely used. And that would involve running a pipe across to the town hall. So it seemed to me that if there was, if that was a matter of interest to the town, it would probably be a lot more affordable than the other plan. And it would bear on whether there would be CV pipe underneath the sidewalk or something like that in anticipation of making that connection. That's why I brought it up there, to raise the question.
I thought that was a good idea to think about it now. When I got the Bazin Brothers estimate for running that little bit of conduit underneath Depot Street for like, it was like $2,300, and that was about maybe a 20-foot run. It would be a longer run across Route 30, and unfortunately the rules are when you go underneath a state highway, it has to be encased in concrete, and the cost would probably be up around the same $3,500. That it would probably, you know, just getting under the road would probably be about $3,000. So never mind what other excavation we'd have to do. So even though it was a great idea, I think it's probably a better idea to put the well in.
And the well that's there, it really probably has never been cleaned out. It probably should get cleaned out. Maybe that's another option, cleaned out and new piping, because that piping is, I mean, we don't drink the water, and I'm sure it's
Just the well at the town hall?
lead pipe, yeah. Yeah, I'm sure it's lead pipe.
Yeah, it didn't pass.
Right, but we wouldn't drink it, but flushing the toilets. Right, but flushing the toilets would be fine. But, you know, there's options. You could look about drilling and then cleaning the well and putting in pipe that was usable, you know, for, I don't know, that's just a suggestion. But
Did the $3,500 cost hooking, you know, include hooking it up to the town hall?
I don't know. I don't remember that being in the bid.
What do we have now, gravity feed?
Yes.
Gravity feed, yes, and it's an artesian well.
It's a spring. It's a spring. It's a spring. It's not an artesian well, it's a spring.
Oh, no, it's a spring.
Yeah, it's a spring.
Sorry.
If it was an artesian well, it'd be all set. We wouldn't have to dig for one. But that's something we'll have to think about right now. It has to be on the back burner for now.
Okay.
And hopefully.
Well, thank you for letting me bring it up.
Well, thank you for thinking of it. Okay. Does anyone have any more questions? Yes.
Lou, I noticed the curbing they're putting in the line. Does that mean we're eliminating parking on this side of the street?
No.
It's awful tight.
No. What you'll notice is that the fog line right there is more than 11 feet away from the center line, because the fact that we used to have that much extra room, that fog line is intended to be moved up more to the center of the road. We might lose one parking place, but that would be the one
I
closest.
just noticed in front of the dry hydrant there that
Yeah,
I
no,
park a truck up there, it's still sitting down, sitting in the road.
yeah, we should still have, we might lose one parking place there, but we're gonna gain more on the other side of in front of the Jamaica House. The sidewalk is getting moved, the crosswalk is getting pushed down, so we should probably gain one on the other side. But there should still be parking in front of
But I was
it.
very impressed with them working on top of that dry hydrant, that it didn't fall
I'm very happy that it didn't fall in.
in. It scared me with the hammer toothpick sitting there, but, you know.
I think that in front of the glassworks is looking a heck of a lot better than it used to. I think that's great.
Okay, if there's nothing else, we'll go to number 10. We received from the state of Vermont, it's just a notification for us, Vermont AOT, bridge number 83 on Vermont Route 100 over the Millbrook in Jamaica, that's in Rossonville, both of them are in Rossonville. And bridge number 42 on Vermont Route 30 over the Winhall River in Jamaica. We'll be performing bridge reconstruction work. And that bridge reconstruction work will be this summer sometime. So they just notified us that they're going to be cleaning the bridge. There'll be some probably hazardous waste material in their letter. And what they're going to do, they're just going to make sure they're in drums, they're sealed, everything's going to be done according to the state. If the state's doing it, so they're going to do it to their specifications. And that's just notification to us on that. Number 11 is for the select board to sign the financial plan for class 2 and 3 highways. Do you have anything? Well, I know, Judy, you don't have anything right now, so I'm going to give you...
Just say that I feel honored to be on the board, and I'm hoping that I can contribute.
Oh, you will.
So,
thank
You've
you.
been contributing as an member for a long time.
Right.
it's kind of true, but I'm not supposed to have been doing it, so.
Thank you.
So,
very
thank
much.
you.
Thank you, Judy. Lou, do you have anything else?
Nothing else.
Paul?
I think I'm done.
Andy?
Did I forget something?
Don't talk to him.
Nothing from me.
I'd like a motion, I don't have anything, a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion we adjourn.
Meeting adjourned at...
I would second that motion.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm getting tired. I have an excuse, I'm tired.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you folks for coming.